This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. It's official. Prince Harry has been inducted into the Living Legends of Aviation, now currently being reflected on the website homepage. Let's take a look at what they had to say about honoring Prince Harry. So, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, is a humanitarian, military veteran, mental wellness advocate, and environmentalist. He has dedicated his life to advocating causes that he is passionate about and that bring about permanent change for people and places. He spent the first 10 years of his adulthood serving in the British Army, during which he undertook 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan as a forward air controller and an Apache helicopter pilot. After completing his military service, the Duke founded the Invictus Games Foundation. No, he didn't. He didn't found it himself. Why do they keep repeating this? Sorry, a platform for wounded, injured, and sick service personnel to use sport as rehabilitation. The international event is a globally celebrated display of resilience, community, and athleticism that is universally recognized for its impact in celebrating those that serve. Prince Harry is also the founder and patron of a number of global charities and organizations, including Travelers, Santa Bali, African Parks, and Well Child. In 2021, he was named Chief Impact Officer at Better Up, a world class coaching platform that helps people everywhere achieve their own peak mental fitness. That same year, he served on the Aspen Institute Commission on Information Disorder, which brought together critical voices across the public, private, and civil society landscape to respond to today's mis and disinformation crisis. Well, isn't that special? Most recently, he co founded the Archwell Foundation alongside his wife, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, to serve communities in need at a micro and macro level. The couple also created Archwell Productions to produce programming that informs, elevates, and inspires through a creative partnership with Netflix. Somehow I feel like Megan wrote that line. I almost could hear it saying inspires through a creative and using her buzzword lens. Anyhow, he is a New York Times bestselling author with his literary debut, Spare, a memoir of his life through the lens. Oh, there is the word lens of compassion, vulnerability, and unflinching honesty. Spare is notably the fastest selling nonfiction book in history, selling over 1.4 million copies on its first day of publication. Prince Harry resides in California with his wife, Meghan, and their 2 children, Prince Archie and Princess Little Betty. Oh, I'm convinced Meghan wrote this for Harry. What's interesting is the mention of the Aspen Institute Commission on Information Disorder on this page. The irony of it being that that is a group that is deliberately trying to take away people's First Amendment rights, and here Harry is representing or being honored by the military community, I would say. In any case, since Harry is so boastful about his achievements and proud of the organizations that he has worked with, I think it would be a good time to now talk about something that I learned today from the Committee on Homeland Security about transnational repression. Take a listen to exactly what that is, and you tell me if you see a fit here with Prince Harry.
Intimidation, smear campaigns, or the manipulation of legal processes to harass and intimidate individuals that are critical of the nation acting as the aggressor. Simply put, transnational repression is when authoritarian regimes like the Chinese Communist Party or Iran or others go beyond their borders to harass and silence their citizens or others and others who defend human rights and advocate for free speech. Transnational repression is not exclusive to any specific country. We've seen these oppressive acts employed by nations that are hostile to the United States and those who view our nation, who our nation views as strategic partners and allies as well. Regardless of our nation's relationship with the perpetrating nation using violence or harassment to silence dissident voices in our nation is illegal and should not be tolerated by our government. Although this issue is not new, the threat of transnational repression has grown significantly in the last few years. Some specific events include, in January of 23, the Department of Justice announced charges on individuals associated with Eastern Europe transnational criminal organizations who were directed by Iran to carry out an assassination plot on a U.S. citizen who spoke out against the regime's human rights abuses. In April 2023, 40 officers of China's national police were charged by the Department of Justice in transnational repression schemes targeting U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents, including operating an illegal police station in Lower Manhattan. In November of 23, the DOJ charged an official within the Indian government, Nikhil Gupta, with murder for hire charges in connection with a foiled assassination plot of a U.S. citizen who is a prominent Sikh activist in New York City. Foreign government, and these are just a few of the many acts of transnational repression that have taken place on U.S. soil in the past few years. Foreign governments that engage in transnational repression continue to utilize new and innovative tactics to silence victims, such as using U.S.-based individuals and groups to unwittingly help these foreign governments commit acts of transnational repression. These actions have included hiring U.S.-based private investigators, co-opting law enforcement officers or employees of social media companies, and recruiting members of local diaspora communities. Transnational repression will continue to be used as a tool to silence views that run afoul to those of autocratic governments if all branches of our government do not step up and work to solve this challenge. We must find a way to effectively deter nation states from engaging in transnational repression. I hope that today's testimony will inspire members of this subcommittee to take action and work in a bipartisan manner to find solutions. The United States must remain a bastion for every person to freely express their views without fear of persecution from foreign actors. As chairman of the subcommittee, I'm committed to working with anyone to uphold that commitment. This committee, in fact, has led multiple initiatives to conduct vigorous oversight on the government's actions in combating transnational repression. Last year, the committee held a hearing with a government panel that examined the threats posed by the CCP to the homeland. And in that hearing, the witnesses discussed how the CCP's acts of transnational repression, including the use of illegal police stations across the country, negatively impacted us. The committee has also heard from Masih Alinejad about her experience being targeted by the Iranian regime. Lastly, the committee recently sent a letter to Secretary Mayorkas and FBI Director Wray highlighting the threats posed by transnational repression and requesting a classified briefing to discuss the threat. These are just some of the many ongoing efforts this committee has taken to ensure that we effectively combat this threat. I'm delighted to have an esteemed panel join us here today to discuss this pressing national security threat.
In my humble opinion, I believe that there's a good case against Harry for transnational repression, and that's because he's still listed on the royal website indicating that he is still serving the crown, aka another government. Add into that Harry being a part of the Aspen Institute, in which we all know they are currently being sued for violating First Amendment rights. Sprinkle in now the terrorist group called the Sussex Squad, and here you have a perfect storm to which Charles could be implicated with trying to undermine our democracy. And that's all because of leaving Harry on that website. So hopefully someone from the palace understands this and advises the monarch to take action swiftly. Anyhow, let's keep Princess Catherine in our thoughts as we wish her a very speedy recovery. That's all I have for you for today. If you're looking for me, I'm over at the reading room this week, producing content covering Davos, because there's a lot going on over there that I think it's important we know. And you know it. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
You're such a fraud.